Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Paumiko live Q&A with Paul Michaels. We are live in the Paumiko dog training inner circle. So how these Q&As work is the Paumiko inner circle is a closed Facebook page that people who are subscribed to the Paumiko dog guide get access to. And the Paumiko Dog Guide is an online video series that we have put together. Paumiko Dog Training is a business of mine. It is a general dog training business where we train people to train dogs, mainly using content online. And the Paumiko Dog Guide is an online video series where we basically just put everything that you need to train your own dog all in one place in the form of videos online. And it's a website that you pay to get access to. So far there's about 45 or 50 videos on there. We're filming the entire training of a dog from start to finish, right from the day I pick it up when it's sort of an 8-week-old pup, right through to a fully trained dog. Filming everything that I do along the way: crate training, kenneling training, all the commands, house training, leash control, and just everything. It's you can go to Paumiko Dog Training on Facebook or Instagram, and there's links to the Paumiko Dog Guide with loads of info on everything that's in it. So we've got that in the Paumiko Dog Guide, and also in there is remedial training, where we're showing you what I'm doing to retrain older dogs, and these are the Paumiko principles, and these Q&As. And the people that are following the Paumiko Dog Guide, that have either purchased it to own forever or have subscribed, have access to the Paumiko inner circle, and they have access to these Q&As, and they ask questions and I answer them. So it's pretty early days for the Paumiko Dog Guide and the Paumiko Inner Circle, and we haven't been doing a ton of stuff on the Paumiko side of things lately, so it's a bit quiet at the moment. We've got one person on though. Rachel, I can see you there. Do you have any questions? If you do, just throw them in the comment section. This is about our second or third live Q&A here, and Jamie's here as well. I was wondering if anyone was going to show up to this Q&A. Jamie says, yo, I'm here. Have you got any questions, Jamie? We need questions. I need stuff to talk about. I was worried that no one was going to turn up to this one. There's only... Andrea's here too. Rachel doesn't have any questions. She's just listening in. Okay. We've been getting very few questions on the Paumiko side. We've actually got quite a few. Hi, Andrea. Hello. We've actually got quite a few people following it, but very few questions coming through. I don't know if that's because basically everything they need is in the videos. I guess not having loads of people in heaps of trouble and asking heaps of questions is kind of a good thing, really. And these Q&As are just set up for anyone that does have questions to ask. But we also have another video product called the Deer Dog Training Blueprint, which is all about training a hunting dog, which is a big game indicating dog, which is a hunting dog. But it's a hunting dog that's trained to stay really close with the handler. It doesn't chase and attack the animals or anything. It's actually, people use big game indicating dogs for conservation work in New Zealand, for controlling things like goats and deer and things. And the Deer Dog Training Blueprint's all about training a big game indicating dog, and we've had that running for quite a while. We've got lots of people following it. We've got lots of people in the big game indicating dogs inner circle, and we get heaps of questions in these Q&As, and they just bring out heaps of really good content. It sort of gives me a way of talking about dogs and dog training. So Andrea's got a question. can you set up a wait command for when your dog is off leash? Yep, definitely. Definitely, for sure. Andrea, have you, I'm guessing, well, you're obviously following the Paumiko Dog Guide. Just throw in the comments, have you watched all of the training Miko? And you'll see there, we're still adding to it. And we're just working on setting up Miko's stop command. And we've got it all set up there. In part 4, which we're literally editing today, but we were meant to have it up. We were hoping to have it up probably about 10 days ago, but we're still working on it, and we really should have it up this week. The next step in Miko's training is taking the next step in that whole system of setting up that full-on stop command that the dog. So stop means stop, and stay stopped until told to go, and you can do it off leash. Okay, so Andrea's saying she hasn't watched it all. She's at about stage 2 or 3 on the Paumiko Dog Guide. So is that part 2 or 3 of training Miko, I'm guessing? Ian McDonald's just joined. How's the sound on this, guys? Just let me know what the sound's like. Yeah, okay, so Andrea, if you're on 2, if you're on 3, you've seen a bit more stuff of training the stop drill with Miko, and if you've watched all the latest remedial training stuff that we're doing with Bo, a 5-year-old older dog that she's got a few bad habits, she hasn't got a good stop command, and we're basically showing you in the Paumiko Dog Guide how we're retraining her, and it's still a work in progress. We're still sort of working on it and adding to it. But we did some more filming with Bo just the other day, and we've been doing a heap of filming with Miko, and we're just getting to the stage now with Miko where she's 7 months old now. We're working on her training all the way through. Her leash works really good. She's good on the long line. Her recall's coming in. Her stop command's getting better and better. But in part 3, we're still only at the stage where Miko was just coming up to 6 months old. So she's still a very young dog, and she's got a stop command. When we say, Miko, sit, she'll sit down, and she'll stay there while we step back just a couple of meters. And she'll wait there, and then we step back in and give her a pat, and then we basically step back and release her. That was what you saw in part 3, and Miko was just approaching 6 months old. Now that Miko's 7 months old, almost approaching 8 months actually, we've got her to the point in part 4, which is we've already filmed it all and we're editing it, where now the last thing we've done is this next stage in part 4 is, in part 3 you saw Miko was, we'd say sit, and she'd sit, but she'd only do it when she's very close to us. And it's kind of like we're calling Miko to us. And this is a very common thing I see a lot. If I'm doing one-on-one sessions with someone and their dog hasn't got a proper sit or a stop or a stay or anything, and I say, okay, show me what your sit drill or your stop drill looks like. Just do exactly what you've always been doing. And this is very, very common. And I say, show me what your sit drill looks like. And they'll go, say their dog's name's Jess. They'll go, Jess, here Jess. Jess, come here. And they'll have to call the dog about 3 or 4 times, and the dog comes to them. And then when the dog gets them, they'll say, Jess, so it's, here Jess, come here Jess. Sit Jess. And then the dog might sit. It'll take ages and muck around and then eventually sit. Then they'll say, stay Jess, stay, and move away, when really it all should be one command, where it's just wherever you don't call your dog to you to say stop. You do if you want it to come to you and stop first. But a stop command means stop wherever you are and stay stopped until told to go. It's not come here, sit down, stay. It's just Miko sit. And she sits and stays where she was when she first heard that command until I tell her to go. So that's what we're working towards, Andrea. And in part 4, which is going up in the next few days, we're at the stage with Miko where instead of her coming back, or instead of us having to go to her, or instead of us being very close, we've just taken that step where now it's a pause button. She can be 3 or 4 meters away, and I just say, Miko, sit, and she knows she's not meant to come back to us. We actually step out to her and stop her if she tries to come back to us, and we stand on the long line if she tries to move away. But it's all about setting up that stop as a pause button wherever the dog is. And it's all about moving to the point where the dog does it off the long line too. But with Miko, she's only 7 months old. She's not at the point where I'm expecting her to do it off the long line. But to answer the question, yes, you can set up a dog to sit and stay off leash, but it takes a fair bit of work. And it takes a lot of work to get that solid around distraction, and we are going into all of that in the Paumiko dog guide, and we're doing that with Miko. That's sort of what we're moving towards with her. Basically, what I've got with Print and Fly like that. I can just say sit wherever they are, and they know it doesn't mean come back. It doesn't mean just stop. It doesn't mean do it. It means stop means stop, and stay stopped until told to go, no matter what. And that's what we're doing in the Paumiko dog guide. So I hope that sort of answers that question, Andrea. Yep, my dog is 4 months and is at the step back stage, not further. So being patient. Yeah, and that's the way. And then now Andrea said, looking forward to sit and stop at a distance. Yeah, so we're definitely working towards that. And it was really cool actually filming with Miko recently, and again, like in the Paumiko dog guide, we talk about it a lot. We did it a lot in the blueprint, and basically all my training, particularly when I'm retraining older dogs, is different, and we're going over all that in the Paumiko dog guide too. But the way I train and training in steps and doing so much preparation and groundwork is so that by the time I'm ready to take the next step, the pup or dog's basically ready to do it automatically. And when we took that step with Miko to get her to stop wherever she is, the way we laid the foundation work with the sit drill right from sort of 8 weeks old was all in very close. And when I did that first drill with her, and she was sort of about 3 or 4 meters away, and I said, Miko, sit, and she turned around and went to come into me, and I just stepped out to her and cut her off, and she felt that pressure. And then as soon as I stepped in to her, and I just sort of went, little command of disapproval, that flat palm out, that we've linked that flat palm out to the stop drill all the way through, she straight away went, whoa, something's going on here. And she stopped, and then as soon as she stopped, I relaxed all my body language, reading and timing, and releasing pressure. And as soon as she saw that, I instantly released all the pressure and relaxed. As soon as she stopped, she went, okay, I'm not meant to come in now when he says stop. And she did it like the second time I tried it. Then we did 2 or 3 drills, a little bit of pressure, and by about the second or third one, I said sit. I said, Miko, sit, and she just stopped right where she was. And another thing we're doing in part 4 is really increasing that time and space. So far with Miko, up until sort of 5 or 6 months old, it's all been within 3 or 4, maybe 5 meters. We're starting to open that right out, moving right back 10, 20 meters. I could be back at 100 odd meters away from Miko while she's on a sit drill. She's got the long line on, but it's just laying on the ground. She can get up and run away. Moral of the story is that's basically what we're doing right now. We're setting up that stop as a stop where you are and stay stopped no matter what. And in part 5, which will be coming really close behind part 4, we'll be introducing a lot of distraction on the stop, and again moving towards that place where we've got that full off-leash recall and stop means stay stopped until you're told to go. And If you've got that stop command and it's solid, you've kind of got everything. If you've got that on your dog, a recall, so no matter if it goes to chase something or run across the road or do anything you don't want it to, and you can call it back to you, that's really important. And the other one is just a stop button. It's just like having a pause button on your dog. And no matter what you're doing in day-to-day life, you see it go to run up to a dog when it's clear that the owner of that dog doesn't want your dog to run up to it, or it's going to like bowl a kid over, or it's going to run across the road or do something dangerous, and you can just go, Miko, sit! And they slam the brakes on and stop. You can stop and solve all problems before they even start. It's really, really important. Jamie, trying to get Digby to sit and stay. How do I take it back a notch so that he isn't set up for failure? Yeah, I was thinking about this. He keeps wanting to follow me when I try to walk away and then step back. He does it good the first step back, but the second step back, he tries to follow me and it's driving me nuts. Yep. I know, you answered your own question. Should I leave it at the first step back and then release him, or keep trying to get the full step back times 2? Okay, so Jamie is working on stop with her young GSP pup. He's about 12 or probably about 14 or 15 weeks old now, I think, if I'm remembering correctly here. And she's doing the stop drill. We have a really specific way of training our stop command in the Paumiko Dog Guide and Paumiko Dog Training, sort of all my training systems. And the stop drill, and we talk about it a lot in the Paumiko Dog Guide, the stop drill is my foundation of everything with the dog. That's where I'm setting up all of the reading and timing and all of the ways that the dog sort of responds to me and the way it looks up to me and respects me and everything. And a dog, if you've got a dog that when you say sit, it sits and it stays there until it's told to go, then one of our Paumiko principles called the rule of transfer. We talk about the rule of transfer in the Dear Dog Training Blueprint a lot as well. Really, really important principle of dog training. The rule of transfer means that anything that's happening in one situation can transfer to another. And all of the sort of responsiveness and respect and just the way your dog listens to you in the stop drill then transfers over to everything else. And again, if you've got a dog that when you say sit, it sits and it stays sitting until told to go, that level of control and respect and relationship and bond tends to roll over into everything else. But if you've got a dog that you say sit and it doesn't sit, or if it does sit and then it gets up when it feels like it, or sit just means sit until your dog feels like doing something else, then that whole level of respect and relationship and bond will roll over into everything else, and you've basically got nothing. So what that means is really, it's you haven't automatically got everything else, but once you teach a dog to be really solid and controlled in that stop drill, it's very, very easy to transfer that same level of respect and control over into new situations. And that's called chaining, because it's like you're just linking situations then, and you're just like linking, it's like a chain, and all the new things that you add on is just like adding new links to the chain, and you're chaining it or linking new things using that same level of control that you've set up in that first situation, and then you just link things together. It's really, really easy. But so Jamie, this is why it's so important that you look at the stop drill as an exercise of you're shaping the way that your dog reacts to you. And if you keep saying sit and stepping back once and it stays there, and then you step back again and he gets up, you're forming a pattern. And you're giving your dog a command that it's not listening to. Every time you give a dog a command that it doesn't listen to, you're teaching it that it doesn't have to listen to you. Every time you give a dog a command that it does listen to, you're just setting up that pattern. And there comes another sort of one-liner that I use quite a bit is practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes permanent. Perfect practice is what makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect permanent. But shitty practice doesn't matter if it's not going well and you keep just doing it over and over and over and you keep saying, Digby, sit, and then you step back once and he stays there and you step back once more and then he gets up. You're practicing him getting up and that's what you're making permanent. You know what I mean? Stuffing up over and over and over doesn't make perfect. It makes stuffing up permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect permanent. So exactly, and you said it in your question. If he always stays perfect one step back, should you just stick to one step back? And my answer for now is yes. And just practice perfect stop drills. And even if it is bloody annoying and it seems ridiculous to only take one step back, just practice getting them perfect. And Jamie, you've talked a lot about Digby being really good for 10 minutes and then it sort of falls apart after that, or he's really good one step back, but if I take another he gets up. Really, really good to just constantly stay inside whatever parameters it takes to just keep getting that perfect practice in. And I guarantee you, if you, no matter how slow it feels or how frustrating it feels, if you just get that perfect practice in over and over and over, and the more perfect sessions you can link together, and I don't care if it's 7 minutes, and you can go out with them for 7 minutes and do 2 stop drills where you take one step back, and so you say, sit, Digby, you say, Digby, sit, and he sits, and you take one step back, and you like cross your fingers for 2 seconds, and he stays there, and you dart back in and go, good boy, Digby, and give him a pat, and then take one step back again and cross your fingers for 2 seconds, and then he stays there, and you release him. That's a perfect stop drill, and you're practicing saying sit, and he stays sitting until he's told to go. And you're practicing that stepping in and out and giving him praise while he's sitting and all of that. And there's a lot to that. And the more times you can link that, the more of those you can link together without a stuff up, the closer you're getting to the point where you can take 2 steps back. And it comes back to repeating it over and over and over, that one step back, until it gets boring. Not only for you, but for you. It's probably boring for you already, and this is where patience comes in massively in dog training. The ideal, and you can see this in the blueprint a lot, and you can see it in the Paumiko dog guide, well, it's already showing up in Miko a lot, where I know my dog's ready to take the next step in the stop drill, or in other forms of training as well, when I can see the dog's bored, and I go and I talk about an introduction to gunfire in the Dear Dog Blueprint. When I want to do that stop drill at that certain distance or at that certain level of distraction, until when I say sit, I can see my dog flopping down, knowing exactly what's going to happen, and they're bored and they're thinking, oh my God, are we doing this again? And it's really boring, and they're not even, they start to not be so attentive because they're so relaxed and so used to knowing what's going on. They're not intense in watching me and waiting and watching to see what's going to happen next. They just know exactly what's going to happen, and they're 100% relaxed, and they're getting bored of it. Then I know I can go to the next step, and the next step, when I take it, the dog's going to go, oh, cool, something new is happening. And they're actually looking for that next step in training of what they can do next. And that's the whole thing. And I'm getting my dog to the point where it knows the last step so perfectly. And again, it's a Paumiko principle, training in steps and as many little steps as possible, and getting one step so sorted that by the time we take the next little step, it's just automatic and the dog does it without even thinking. So yeah, Jamie, I know it must be bloody frustrating, but sometimes that's just what it's like, and every dog's different, and you'll get weird little sticking points. I've talked about it in the last Big Game Indicating Dogs Q&A, where I had that massive sticking point with Print as a pup, where he would stop, and because I do a sitting stop, I talked about this in the last Q&A, you don't have to do a sitting stop, you can do a standing stop, but I do a sitting stop, and there's lots of different reasons for that, and good dog trainers do a standing stop, but anyway, I do a sitting stop, and every time I'd say, Print, sit, and he'd stop, but he wouldn't bloody sit. And I can't tell you, Jamie, how many times I had to step in and push his bum down, like, probably hundreds. It was weeks. I went through a stage of weeks where, and he just wouldn't do it. And I'd just step in, and I tried to stay calm, because you don't want to get frustrated and say, Print, just sit down, and push his bum down too hard, and then you're breaking down your relationship and everything's getting weird. It was just follow, trust in the process. Just stick to the program, stick to those principles, always setting the dog up to get it right. Don't set them up to fail. A huge one is never test. You don't go, okay, so he stayed sitting while I took one step back. I wonder what he's going to do if I take two. And then one day you'll take 2 steps back and you'll stay sitting, and you go, wonder what he'll do if I take 3. And you're constantly testing and constantly forcing your dog to fail. It's the opposite. You want to really force them to get it right. That's actually what it's about, is you're almost forcing them to get it right. That's what we're doing with a long line. Going, Miko, come. And if she doesn't come, I'll pull her towards me with a long line. She can't get it wrong. And that's the whole key. Perfect practice. I don't know if Jamie's still there, but what is she? Jamie said, that is so confusing. Should I leave it at the first step back? I don't know if she might be meaning her question's confusing, or I don't know if she's meaning her question's confusing or my answer's confusing. I hope I'm making sense here. Okay, we've got more questions coming up. But yeah, so Jamie, I would really focus on that. I know exactly what you're meaning. Your question is not confusing. My answer might be. I hope it's not. And again, your answer's in your question. You said, should I just stick with the one step back if that's all he's doing perfectly? My answer is yes. And just link those perfect drills together over and over and over as many times as you can until I don't care if you do that for 2 weeks straight. And if you can spend as much time as you want with them just walking on the long line, often too, if you're running into real sticking points like this, there's something wrong with the rest of your system. He's getting too much free time. He's getting too much. He's having too much fun on his own, and he's not as engaged as he could be or should be in training. That's another huge one too. What else is going on with your whole overall general situation? You were saying that your flatmates were doing something with them while you weren't home that wasn't quite right. How much is that showing up in the training that you're trying to do with them? Why? It's like that. A really good analogy is like a personal trainer that's trying to train someone at the gym, and they've trained a lot of people, and they're training someone that's trying to lose weight, and they're training them really freaking hard, and they've got their body weight, and they've given them their diet and amount of calories, and they've cut their calories back and back and back, and they're training them harder and harder and harder, and the person's not losing weight. And there becomes a point where that trainer knows that that person's bloody eating too much, and say, what are you bloody eating? What's actually going on here? And there could be something else wrong too. And And I sort of get that in dog training too, where someone's saying, oh, I've watched this video, I'm trying to do that, but my dog, and this is happening and that's happening, I'm getting bits and pieces, and they keep asking questions, and I'm just going, this isn't right, man. It doesn't make sense. And I don't know, Jamie, like 12, 14, 15 months old, you should be able to take more than 2 steps back. Well, not necessarily. Like, I mean, I've had 8-week-old pups that I can give a stop command and they drop to their belly and stay there while I walk around in massive circles. But then that's extremely early. That is not something that everyone should be aiming for. And having to say every 15-week-old pup should 100%, to say you're doing something wrong if a 15-week-old pup doesn't have a rock solid stop drill that you can just say sit and walk away and it stays there, that's not true. And there's actually some really, really good training systems. I start a lot of stuff very early on in the way I train, and the stop drill's one of them. But we do it in a way, and we lay out those principles of if it's not working, don't test your dog. If your dog fails, take a step back. Which in this case is meaning don't take so many steps back. Take a step back in training. So if you're taking 1 step back and it's working perfectly, if you go to taking 2 steps back and your dog starts getting up, then go back to taking 1 step back. And I mean, I was working with Bo the other day, and I did probably half an hour of drills with her, working with her on her stop drill, trying to go from taking 1 step back to taking about 3 or 4, and it took me about half an hour and probably about 15 or 20 drills to get 1 drill where she didn't try getting up, and that's a 5-year-old dog. So that's it, Jamie. There's nothing to say that you should be able to take more than 1 step back. And if every time you take more than 1 step back, he gets up, then you should stop taking more than 1 step back for ages until that gets really steady. Okay. Kevin's saying it's frustrating to try and find a low distraction area when even the grass under my lab's feet is a distraction because he just wants to keep eating. Lab life. Labrador problems. That's first world Labrador problems right there. When it's eating the grass under its feet is a distraction. And it's true. How old's your dog, Kennel? Kevin? Kennel? I almost called you Kennel. How old's your dog, Kevin? Is there anything wrong with training my lab to walk perfect on the lead before training him on a long line? No, nothing wrong with that at all. As I want to be able to take him for exercise. No, nothing wrong with that at all, Kevin. Good as gold. Go for it. We're going over short lead stuff in part 4, which we're putting together right now. Yeah. Andrea's cracking up at... I'm guessing that's like she's laughing at Kevin's comment. Daniel, how's it going, mate? Long time no see. Hope you're doing good down there. He's 2 years old. No, good as gold, man. Get into that short lead for sure. And like in the Paumiko dog guide, we're obviously still working on it. We're going to add more to it than what's already there. It'll probably end up 2 or 3 times the size of what it already is, and who knows what's going to happen over time. It might be the sort of thing that we just sort of keep working on almost forever, and it's going to end up just this. It'll be ridiculous, but uh, when we're making things like this, we can't make the whole thing all, you know what I mean? We can't just go bang and it's all there. So we've sort of got to start somewhere and decide where to start and what to do later. And going over the short lead stuff is, or getting Miko walking on the short lead is one of those things. But yeah, that should be up probably in the next 2 weeks. But the cool thing about leaving that till now is when you train a dog from a pup the way we have with Miko, by the time you get to 5 or 6 months old and it comes to walking on a leash, she's already got her control. She's been on a long line a lot. She respects a lead. She respects something around her neck. She's attentive. She's beginning to understand range. We're going into using change of direction to control range in part 4. We'll be going over setting up a proper heel. Actually, we filmed some heel work with Miko on the short leash about 2 days ago. And but talking about training and steps and doing a groundwork and foundations and getting a dog ready to the point where when you do take that next step, it's basically automatic. You know, with a pup, the way we've trained Miko on the Paumiko Dog Guide, now that she's 7-8 months old, you basically just clip that short lead on them for the first time and just walk, and it's already all there, you know. And we're just sort of doing bits and pieces of using change of direction and a few other things to get that really perfect heel that's just right beside us, and you're sort of holding the lead in between your thumb and forefinger and just walking like that, really responsive automatic stop. So yeah, but to answer the question, Kevin, hook in, man, good as gold. He's employing long line basics like the sit and stop with lead to hopefully make it easier when I start on the long line. Yep, that's all good as gold, man. Steve Krebs. Hi, Steve. Hi, Paul. My dog, Gunner, likes to lie down and roll around when I use a stop command. Yeah, Kate, that's quite common. That's a real go-to for old Bo, which is she's that big old 5-year-old girl that we're retraining in the remedial training in the Paumiko Dog Guide. And she's actually got skin problems, and I can see when I'm working on a stop drill, and then she's like, oh, I've got an itch. So all of a sudden she's on her side rolling around, and then she'll roll over and get up, and she's getting up off her stop drill. It's like a real behavioural pattern that she's got deeply ingrained there. But that can be a real common one. Eating grass for Kevin in his lab. Anything like itching, eating grass, rolling around, all of that. It's all a dog's way of winning a little battle. And really a proper stop drill, and that's why eye contact is so important. The dog, and trust me, to the dog, especially if you're trying to get eye contact and you're trying to get a nice, attentive, relaxed, proper sit where it's just sitting, it's not scratching, it's not eating grass, it's not rolling around. The dog knows what you want it to do, unless you're really stuffing it up. And in the dog's head, it's not doing what you're telling it to do until it's sitting properly and looking at you. And that's where reading and timing comes into it. Calm handling, we put a big 20-minute video up in the remedial training section called Calm. Henry, calm handling's in remedial training, not in training Miko? That 20-minute calm handling video. Oh, it's in training Miko. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's called calm. It's like 20 minutes called calm handling. Yep. So there's a video, calm handling, and it's in part 3. Yeah, it's in part 3 of training Miko. And we go right into talking about reading and timing and the application and releasing of pressure and praise, and reading the thought and reading real little subtle indicators, and really calling your dog out on all its bullshit. to be frank and blunt. And eating grass, scratching, rolling around, and all of that stuff is that bullshit that you want to call your dog out on. And yeah, to me, I don't my to answer the question really. He just says hi. It's not really a question. It's just a comment. My dog likes to lie down and roll around when I use a stop command. Yet I don't like that. That's the short answer to that. I don't like it. I don't like any type of eating grass, rolling around, a little bit of scratching if it's genuine, and and a dog doesn't have to have fleas to, I scratch my shoulder, something, I'm sitting here and I'll go, scratch my shoulder or, whatever, touch my arm, rub my arm, scratch my arm, or whatever, you have, adjust my shirt or whatever you do. There's some scratching is okay in dogs. And I've had, obviously had dogs all my life, and I've had dogs that I don't care how much flea stuff you put on them or how, and my dogs don't have fleas. They never have fleas. But a dog that doesn't have fleas will still occasionally scratch, and sometimes it's a genuine, normal scratch, and it's okay. Then other dogs start to use that, and then they start to get in a pattern of every time you say sit, they'll sit down and they'll scratch at the long line or their lead and muck around, and then you let them get away with that 3 or 4 times, and then one time they'll scratch, and at the end of their scratch they'll stand up and you'll say, hey, sit down, command of disapproval, sit down. And they look at you like, oh, sorry, I sort of forgot. And they'll sit down, and then a couple of drills later they'll scratch again, and then they're trying to work back towards that point where they're standing up. So to me, I am conscious of the fact that, hey, maybe my dog does need a scratch, or maybe because eating grass can be a diet thing, or a stomach thing, or whatever. Sometimes eating grass can be good for dogs. It's not necessarily a bad sign. And I notice now that I'm in town, I don't have grass on my section where my dogs are. Anytime I take them to an area where there's grass, they're eating grass because it's actually good for their digestion. Having said that, though, I don't want them to start doing it while I'm in the middle of a stop drill. And I don't want my dog to start rolling around while I'm in the middle of a stop drill. It's stop, stay, stop. Preferably sit down and look at me, and that's all you're doing. If it's a longer stop drill and the dog's getting more relaxed, then it can relax and look around and I call it a neutral interest. It's not excited about to get up or go and chase stuff or attack stuff. It's not scared of stuff in its environment. It's not timid of me, like, man, I should just keep sitting here. It's not like that much pressure on it that it's sort of walking on eggshells the whole time. It's just I've said sit, so it sits down, and it knows it's just meant to sit and relax, so it just relaxes, and it's just sitting there chilling out, taking in the sights. That's really what I'm after. Either that, or looking at me, wondering when I'm going to say it can go again, or wondering when I'm going to step in and give it a pat. I don't want them rolling around and eating grass and scratching and stuff. Any other questions or comments, guys? Sometimes we have a bit of a delay in these comments. He tends to do it more after a few drills and seems to be getting a bit bored. Yep. How many is a few drills? So that's actually something we're doing in part 4 too. To get 100% attentiveness, is it a matter of praise each time Blue gives eye contact? Praise definitely helps. For sure, praising eye contact, putting praise on what you do want. You want eye contact, so when he gives it to you, you praise it. And you can even just say, you don't have to necessarily step in and give him a pat, but when he looks up, say, good boy, A huge one though, man, with eye contact on the stop is the release. Only releasing them when they look at you and not releasing them until they look at you. So when they're on the stop, and particularly when they're getting impatient and they want to go and they know they have to look at you before you'll let them go, that's when you start to get that real eye contact where the dog's just staring at you, waiting to release. And on all of this stuff, reading, timing, respect, relationship, bond, eye contact, attentiveness, all of this stuff, getting it without treats is the ultimate. That's what so many things that you see treat trainers doing are people training with treats, and they get that real, the dog staring at them for the treat with that real intensity of wanting the treat. That's sort of what you look like, and we got a hyper footage of Miko doing that very quickly on the heel, because I was using change of direction and reading and timing so perfectly that very quickly I had a 7-month-old pup that I've never used treat training with, walking next to my left knee, staring up at me as if I was about to give her a treat, but I've never used treats with her. It's all about reading and timing and setting up the attentiveness, because all of the reading and timing and respect and bond and I've set it up so well that all that dog's ever doing is just wondering what I wanted to do next. And that's real attentiveness, man. And you know, and the whole treat thing's kind of mimicking it in a lot of ways. I'm not completely dismissing treat training. Some really good trainers use it and train very, very good dogs with it. And there's ways you can use it very, very well, and there's ways you can use it very, very poorly, but that can be one aspect of it. And the differences between treat training and what we do, which is what I call real dog training. But yeah, to get that 100% attentiveness. Does that make sense, Kevin? I don't know if you can throw another comment up. And Steve is saying about your dog laying down and rolling around. Steve, you said he tends to do it more after a few drills and seems to be getting a bit bored. Okay, so a couple of things would be interesting, Steve, is to know how old's your dog, how long you've been training it, how often are you training it, how many's a few drills, and then it starts getting sick of it. How long are your training sessions? Because another thing that I'm going to hammer out in part 4 is talking about time frames and frequencies. So how long are you training your dog? How many drills are you doing over and over? How often are you training your dog? If you are doing 5 drills, how far apart are they? How often are you repeating stuff over and over and over? And how are you making your dog sick of it, and pushing it, basically just pushing your dog to fail. If you ask someone to jump through a hoop and you're like, can you jump through the hoop for me? And they jump through and you go, oh, thanks for that. Can you jump back? And they go, oh yeah, all right. And they jump back. And then you go, sweet, can you jump back through the other way again? And they go, all right. And they do that. And then you go, thanks for that. Can you jump back through? And they start, eventually that person's going to, what are we doing here? I just jumped through the bloody thing 4 times perfectly. What else do you want? And dogs definitely get to that point of, I don't know what else you want me to do, man. I just did it perfectly 4 or 5 times, and they start to get over it. And the thing is that's different for every dog, and then it's different for the way you're executing your training and everything. And that's why I'm so huge on principles, is because it all comes back to those principles, like basically a lot of what I was talking about with Jamie and that You could ask the question, how many steps back should I be taking with my dog at this age? And the answer is as many steps back as you can without it beginning to get up. And then the answer to how many drills and how far apart should they be with my dog at this age, or how many times, and the answer is always as many as you can do before it starts falling apart on you. So if you're doing a few, Gunnar has just turned 6 months, been doing the Paumiko for about a month, train about 4 days a week at the moment, and it's usually after the 4th drill. I try to break up with distance and we'll have a run with him in between. Yeah, okay. So there's your answer there, man. It's usually after about the 4th drill. So I'd cut back to doing 3 drills a 3 drills a session, man. If you start to get into trouble sometimes, he starts doing his roll around thing after 4 drills, do 3. And if someone's starting to run into trouble after training for 20 minutes, do 15 minutes. And if 15 minutes isn't enough sort of engagement and exercise and moving around and doing stuff, then if you're just training a pet, as we are in the Paumiko Dog Guide, you can give your dog a freedom session off the long line, within the parameters that we're going over in the Paumiko Dog Guide, in a safe area and not too many distractions and all that sort of stuff. You can bring the dog home and let them out in a dog-proof section and just spend a bit of time with them cruising around, not really giving them any commands or anything. Another thing we're going to go over in the Paumiko Dog Guide coming up soon is sort of just fun but constructive ways of spending time and burning off energy with your dog without creating problems. And basically anything you're doing with your dog that's not creating a problem is therefore constructive. So we're going to get into things like basic retrieving games but then you can get into trouble with retrieves too. So we're going to show you how to do things like retrieving without getting into a negative cycle with them and actually making it constructive and really cool games that you can play with your dogs to burn off energy, actually teach them more control and cooperation and respect and attentiveness. But yeah, for now, Steve, that would be me, man. 6 months old. I would just, if you keep running into trouble, and training 4 days a week's fine, it's probably about bang on. And to be honest, for a lot of dogs, only doing 2 or 3 stop drills a session is probably bang on too. And the cool thing about the way we train on a long line is with most dogs, particularly once you start introducing things like change of direction, non-communicative training, and using change of direction to control range, which we're going over in part 4, which is coming out in the next 10 days or so. A training session can be 10 minutes. A training session that you only do 3 stop drills in can be 10 minutes, or it can be an hour and 10 minutes. And the rest of the time is just walking on the long line, and every now and again you just sort of kneel down and do a recall, and the pup comes running in, you give it a big pat and you sit down with it and bond with it and muck around, and then you keep walking again and you just wander around and wherever you are, at a park or on the beach, or even in town, or wherever you're doing it. Just, I don't care if you're going round and round in circles in a massive rugby on a sports ground or something. Every town's got something like that. And just walk. If it's a pup that's been sitting around all day doing nothing while you've been at work, you can do that for half an hour, and it's gonna enjoy it. But again, just because you're training for 40 minutes, if you're doing 3 drills in a 15-minute session, it doesn't mean you have to do 6 in a 30-minute session or 9 in a 45-minute session. You can still just do 3 in an hour session, And it doesn't tend to matter how far apart those drills are. You could do 1 and then do another one 20 minutes later, and then another one 20 minutes after that, and then end the session 20 minutes after that. Or you could probably do your 3 drills all inside of 10 minutes too, and then not do another one for the last hour, and just do a few recalls, bit of bonding time, bit of calm handling, and go from there. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. And then other dogs at different phases, you can pump out heaps of drills. And then once you can really read a dog, you'll know, I can do a heap of drills with this dog today. But then you'll see another day, you're like, oh, I think I'm just going to leave it at that, and you learn to get a feel for it. But because every dog's different, there's no magic number. That's why those principles are so important. Just always setting a dog up to succeed, never testing. If you run into a problem, take a step back, figuratively speaking. Any other questions? So I just want to say a big thanks to everyone that signed up on the Paumiko Dog Guide. We've put a ton of work into it over the last, it's 6 or 7 months now, or 5 or 6 months, 6 or 7, somewhere around that. It's almost a bit of a blur. We've had so much on. Pretty early days. We haven't got tons of people on board yet, but it's just so early, and we're still sort of working on it and making it, getting some really good feedback on it, and we're kind of stoked on it. But at the same time, we wish we had more in there already. We're happy with what's in there. There's tons in there, and everything that's in there is really good. But it's kind of it's not an easy task, training dogs and filming the whole thing and selling it. And we've set up this whole podcast because it was really important that we got all this gear set up and good sound and to do these live streams. And then we're changing and keep constantly changing the marketing side of it and trying to look after everyone and answer the questions, and then trying to constantly write and film and edit and post. And we're kind of just flat out scrambling the whole time, to be honest. In the last couple of weeks, we've just had tons of stuff on top of training, filming, editing, and posting. And we've sort of got on top of all of that now. And we did a heap of filming the other day. Henry was literally editing all day. We got a lot of really good stuff, and we've got a lot of free time coming up. That is going to be all filled right up with just filming and editing and posting stuff, and just making the Paumiko Dog Guide, better and better, and just adding to it. Miko's turning out just so good. It's ridiculous. There's going to be some really cool stuff coming up with her. Actually, she's a really neat little dog, and everything we've done with her is just working really well. Bo is a mission, but that's good because Miko's a dream, and this is something that we've had with other video series that I've done too, and it's still we get comments on it regularly that Print is a dog that I trained in another video series in the Deer Dog Training Blueprint, and he was sort of like that all the way through the blueprint, when it was like, okay guys, now we're moving on to the next step. I'm going to show Print how to do this next cool thing, and this is the first time I've tried it. And I'd like give the command and show him how to do it once, and then I'd give the command the second time and he'd just do it. And it's like, well, it's all about showing you how to do it perfectly, almost to the extent where it's flawed in a way, because people are like, well, now what? I've done it so well, and the dog's doing it so well, and that's actually perfect dog training, is that you're not battling, you're not fixing all these problems. And that's really the whole idea of the training Miko section of the Paumiko Dog Guide. And the whole idea of the remedial training section is the opposite. And we were working with dogs that we do have a lot to work on, and that's exactly what Bo is, the dog we're working on the remedial training section. We had a really challenging session with her. Well, it wasn't hugely challenging. I knew exactly it was nothing I haven't done before, but I had to repeat this drill over and over and over and over before she got it right. And we're going to continue to work with Bo. We actually also had a lead on a dog, and I've got to chase this up. We had a lead on a dog that we may be doing some work in that has really bad phobia stuff. So you've got a dog like Bo, who is, Bo's a 5-year-old. She's like a Staffy something, maybe Mastiff or Bully. She's like a Staffy, probably a bit of Shar-Pei in there. She's just like a big bully, big dark bully dog. She's probably, maybe 40 kilos, somewhere around there. 5 years old, heaps of bad habits, pulls on the leash, super reactive, overconfident, just wants to go charging into anything. Definitely not scared of much. She's that extreme end of the scale. And we're going to continue to work with Bo and maybe work with other dogs like her in the Paumiko Dog Guide. I also want to cover that other end of the spectrum, which is the opposite to that, which is a dog that's scared and timid of stuff. And yeah, we've got a lead on a dog like that. And yeah, we've sort of got the next at least 6 months or a year or whatever, and we might just keep working on this thing forever. We'll sort of see how it goes. So just keep adding to it, you know. Keep answering questions, keep putting more videos in the Paumiko Dog Guide, just keep checking stuff off. Oh, yep, Kevin said Blue is more in line with Bo, so it is good to watch those videos. Yeah, Kate, real confident, just ripping into everything. Yeah, and that's sort of what I was saying. Like, Bo's a mission, but it's good, and that's the whole idea. You know, it's important. That's one thing that's been lacking in other video series that I've done, where I'm just showing you how I'm sort of training the perfect case scenario of my own dog that I'm training right from a pup, right from the start, never making a mistake. It's perfect, it's really good, and it's super, super good and important to show people this is what it should look like. But it's good to be able to show people, you know, what to do or how I deal with it, how I would deal with it when things aren't going perfect, or you're working with an older dog that's got serious existing problems. So, and Bo's definitely given us plenty to work on there. And there's the other thing is, it's a shame in a way, but it's good in this case that, hey, we never have, and we never will have a problem coming up with finding dogs that have crazy issues that we can sort of work with and film and put in the Paumiko Dog Guide and talk about in Q&As and things. So, any more questions, guys? Happy to do a few more here. The comments have been a bit better this time. Haven't been lagging, and they've been popping up as you guys have been asking them. So yeah, for people that are listening, and actually for people that are watching and people that are following the Paumiko Dog Guide too, for attending this live Q&A. So the Paumiko Dog Guide is an online video series, basically with everything you need to train your own dog, and anything that's not in there, we're sort of adding it, and then you got these Q&As and everything. You've probably learnt quite a bit about it, or got a bit of a feel for it while you've been listening to this. And you can find the Paumiko Dog Guide links to a heap more information at Paumiko Dog Training on Facebook and Instagram. Social media really is one of the best places to check it out, because we're constantly posting, and you can sort of hit follow or like or whatever, and keep an eye on it, hang around for a bit and see what's going on. And there's links to watch the trailer for the Paumiko Dog Guide is on Paumiko Dog Training Facebook and Instagram. You can flick us a message, ask us questions, whatever. One other place you can find it, if you're not into social media at all, is type in to Google or the search bar the PaumikoDogGuide.com, Paumiko is spelled Paumiko. Paumiko Dog Training. Paumiko. If you type in thepalmicodogguide.com, thepalmicodogguide.com, and that'll take you through to a members login, and there's also another button there that you can hit. It'll say you haven't got it yet, check it out here, something to that effect, and that'll take you through to a website with a full trailer on the video trailer on the Paumiko Dog Guide. You can scroll down, you can read all about training Miko, remedial training, the Q&As, the FAQs, Paumiko dog training, about we've got a 30-day money-back guarantee on it. You can basically sign up, check it out, and if you're like, hey, this is rubbish, I don't want it anymore, give me my money back, we'll give you money back. Pretty good sign. I've had pretty much had no one ask for their money back, so it's always a good, that's the best feedback in itself. That's why we give a money back guarantee. And then our aim is basically to make our stuff so good that no one wants to give their membership up and get their money back. They'd rather us keep their money and keep access to the Paumiko Dog Guide, and that's the way it's working out so far, which is awesome. And another thing, guys, Kevin, I'll answer your question before we go, mate. For people listening and for people attending this live Q&A, members of the Paumiko Dog Guide, you might be watching this on YouTube or Facebook. I have a podcast. My name's Paul Michaels, if you don't know that. I don't think I've said that anywhere in this audio. My name's Paul Michaels, and I have a podcast called the Paul Michaels Revolution Podcast. And all of the audios for our Q&As and tons of other stuff are over there for anyone to listen to for free. So that goes for including the people that are subscribed or have purchased the Paumiko Dog Guide. And if there's already a good few hours of these Q&As up, you don't actually have to sit watching videos locked into Facebook or YouTube. You can listen to them on the Paul Michaels Revolution Podcast, and you can actually just scroll through all my podcasts and select a Paumiko one, these big game indicating dog ones, these other ones as well. Talk about all sorts of random stuff on my podcast, but if you just want to listen to the Paumiko dog training ones, have a big catch up on all the Q&As, and just listen to the audio while you're driving or I listen to podcasts while I'm like walking dogs and doing dishes and all that sort of stuff. Love podcasts, love audios. I can listen to them while I'm doing other stuff. That's all on the Paul Michaels Revolution Podcast. And that if you just search the Paul Michaels Revolution on any of the podcast apps, it's up on pretty much all of them. It'll come up straight away. Scroll down. If you haven't listened to podcasts, you don't know what podcasts are. A lot of people do, a lot of people don't too. I'm sort of telling people about the podcast and like, what the hell is this podcast thing? 100% free. Podcasts are free. The apps are free. You just go to the App Store, search podcast, and the top podcast app will come up. You just hit get, it'll download. You hit open, it'll open. There'll be a search bar, and you search the Paul Michaels Revolution. My podcast will come up, and you listen to it for free. And it's good because it's audio, it's not video, so it doesn't eat your data. You can download a whole heap of audios, a whole heap of podcasts while you're at home, listen to them while you're driving to work. And the other cool thing about podcasts is you don't have to just listen to me the whole time. There's heaps of them. Podcasts are bloody good. We like them. A lot of people do. So that's what they are. So all these are up on the Paul Michaels Revolution Podcast. Kevin asking a question or a comment. He says, I guess crate training an older dog, ? I've always had Blue in a kennel outside, so when trying to bring him in, he goes mental with excitement. Yep. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And that's why, like in the deer dog training blueprint, we start our pup off outside in a kennel. But as soon as we start getting a bit of control on them, we start bringing them inside and getting them used to that. Even if it's a dog that I'm fully intending to live outside in a kennel the whole time, I still bring them inside and get them used to that, because it can be a pain sometime or another to have a dog that isn't used to being inside. Because, as you say, Kevin's saying he's crate trained his dog. He's saying he's always had Blue in a kennel outside. So when trying to bring him in the house, bring him in, which is meaning inside, he goes mental with excitement, because they're just like, oh my God, I'm inside with all the humans. I can't believe it. And you just got an idiot dog on your hands. So yeah, it is good to crate train, man. Yeah, Kevin, and that's why in the Paumiko dog guide, obviously we do crate training. We also go over kennel training. That's another thing that's going to be in part 4. She can now do nights inside in her crate all night, good as gold, and she can also do a full night outside in the kennel on her own, and she's all good. So now I've got both sides set up, and I'm moving towards the point where she's going to be fully house trained, where she can just sleep on a dog bed. I'm also going to show you how I get a dog I can have my dog just wandering around the house, being wherever it wants. If that's what you want to do with your dog, you just want your dog to be like free roam. Other people will want their dog to always be in a crate. Other people want their dog to always be outside. But there's one other thing. A lot of people, I think it's just a tool that actually most dogs should have, is you can put a bed down. You can basically put anything down. I like having a dog where if I put a shirt down or a bed down, or it might have a proper dog basket inside, the dog can come in and it can be just wandering around doing its own thing, being wherever it wants. But when I say get on your bed, it knows what its bed is and it goes there and stays there. We're going to throw that in the Paumiko dog guide too, because that's super handy. But coming back to Kevin's comment there, he's asking about crate training an older dog, because his dog lives outside, but when he does bring it inside, it acts like an idiot because it can't believe it's inside because it's so bloody exciting. And that's why, yeah, man, it is well worth putting a bit of time in. Even if you're intending your dog to live outside, get it used to being inside too, because you never know. Well, you might go away sometime in 2 years' time and you're trying to stay somewhere and you're like, oh, it'll just be really good here for this weekend if I could just bring my dog inside and it didn't act like an idiot, So it's and it comes back to a lot of stuff that sort of I do in my training systems, and we're going over in the Paumiko dog guide, and pretty much it's just how I wanted to train my dogs. So that's sort of how I've always worked it out and thought about dog training, is looking at it from a perspective of, and it's actually a perspective that's come about by making so many mistakes and getting so many positions and getting way down the line with training a dog and then trying to do something with it one day and going, oh no, I so should have set that up ages ago. And now I'm trying to do this thing with my dog because I'm stuck here this weekend and my dog doesn't know how to do it. And it's a massive pain in the ass. So all my training, including the Paumiko dog guide, is all about setting a dog up for all circumstances, and because someone might say, oh, but I want my dog to just run around like an idiot on the beach. And I'll say, yeah, that's really cool, and I want my dog to be able to run around like an idiot on the beach too. But then when, I don't know, so many things can happen. What if there's another idiot driving his car down the beach one day, and I'm like, oh no, I'd actually really like to call my dog back to me here and be able to tell it to sit down and stay, because this idiot's about to run my dog over it and I don't have control of my dog. So you need to be able to have control of your dog, and so it's all about, again, it's about having both sides set up, having a dog that can run around, have all that fun, do whatever it wants, but then you can also control it. And it's about having a dog that can come inside and be relaxed inside without being an idiot, and I can put it in a crate inside, I can have it out of the crate inside, I can tell it to go on its bed. Or, oh no, I've got to stay at my grumpy uncle's place this weekend and he won't let my dog inside, but he's got a kennel outside. Oh sweet, my dog knows how to do that too because I trained it how to do it. And now I can just put my dog in a kennel and walk away and it's fine. Or, oh no, I have to go away for the weekend and I have to put my dog in the kennels and leave it there and they're going to be putting it in a kennel and run and walking away for the night, and my dog's never done that. So now my dog that I actually quite like is going to be completely beside itself in the kennels all weekend because I've never taught it to be by itself outside in a kennel and run in a new environment. And it goes both ways. It goes, you might go, I always want my dog to be disciplined and outside in a kennel and under control. But I don't think that you want a dog that knows how to socialize and be relaxed and be normal as well. Even if you want it to be controlled the whole time. Because it's all about balance. And then if you want your dog to be relaxed and running around the whole time, you actually also need the control and the discipline. Or if you want, I want my dog to be with me, sleeping on my bed, riding in the front seat of the car, it's also only fair and safe to set up all that other side too, And again, it works both ways. If you're the type of person that wants a controlled dog, you also need to set up that socialization and normal behavior and just having a balanced dog. If you want your dog to just be fun and just cruisy, you also need that other side. It works both ways. Kevin's saying Blue has a lie down command of on your mat, so want to have that as a command for inside, just like, yep. It's just getting it's just getting control of that excitement. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember, Kevin. I think, did you say Blue was 6 months old? Oh, he's 2 years old. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, so Kevin's got a 2-year-old dog that's mainly been outside, and he's trying to bring it inside and wants to have that on the mat command, but when you bring it inside, it's just bloody all a bit much and it's all excited. Crate chaining is very, very good for that, man. It really is. And that's a big part of the way we've done our crate training with Miko and the Paumiko Dog Guide, and that's why in the crate training we've done a lot of it in the first 3 parts. So she's basically all set up for that now, and we're sort of elaborating on it and giving her updates on it and still talking about it in part 4, 5, and 6, and for the whole rest of the thing. And we'll also actually go into teaching a dog to be on a chain, because instead of always in a kennel, having a dog that doesn't know how to go on a chain can also be a pain in the ass sometimes. But that's why, and we've gone through those steps with Miko right from a pup, of having her in a kennel, in a crate, in the back of the truck, and all over the place. And then and crates are awesome because you can then move the crate around because you can get a pup or dog to get used to being crated or kennelled in one spot, and you're like, oh, my dog's good as gold in the kennel, it's fine. But then go somewhere else and put it in a different kennel and walk away and it'll go bananas. There's situational awareness. So we've got the rule of transfer. Things transfer from one situation to another. But then there's also situational awareness where a dog goes, oh, it's a new situation. They don't always automatically transfer those skills straight over. They often use that new situation to just do completely different things. So while we do have that rule of transfer, we've also got to take steps to transfer that stuff over properly. And if we don't do it, and then we get stuck in a situation where we've set our dog up to fail, it doesn't know how to do it, and now, oh no, I've just got to put it in that kennel and walk away. Now you got your dog going bananas in a kennel somewhere, and you're setting them up to fail, And now then you're creating that habit, and now you're setting up your dog to have separation anxiety. So that's why we take all these steps, and this is why crate's so good, is because, and when I'm talking about a crate, for people that don't know, Kevin will know if he's watched the Paumiko Dog Guide. We used a crate with Miko. You get them from any pet store. Go into a pet store and ask for a collapsible crate, and you can get when the dog guide, we show you how we use one with a partition that you can move and take it out, so you can make the crate smaller. And as your dog grows, you move the partition, then take the partition right out. In the case of what we did with Miko, I actually started off with a smaller crate and then got a bigger one with the partition, and now she's using the big one without the partition. But it's just a crate, and it's got a handle on top, and I can just pick it up and move it around. And I move that crate around to different spots. So Miko is used to and I actually take it to different households, and then I like put it out by the clothesline, and I have her in a crate while I'm like walking backwards and forwards and doing stuff, and then I put it on the deck while people are coming and going, and then when I go to visit my mum and my nephew and sister and things, I go people when I go and take her there, put her in the crate, and she's getting used to different people that aren't me, people she doesn't know and recognize, walking past the crate while she's in it and all of that. And the first time she's all wide-eyed and looking around, but again, I repeat it and I repeat it and I repeat it and repeat it until when I put her in a crate, basically in any situation, she just lays down and goes, she's like, oh no, we're doing this again. It's boring. But the thing is, once it's boring, it's easy. And the crate's really good for that, Kevin, with what you're talking about, is your dog's too excited. It's a bit much for it having it inside. But if you have it in a crate inside, it can't fail. You know what I mean? You put it in a crate, it's in a cage. And yeah, it'll be sitting there and wagging its tail and banging the crate with its tail and walking around in circles, but just leave it, ignore it, and it'll get used to being inside. And then eventually it'll lay down and go to sleep. Praise it, pressure on what you don't want, praise on what you do want. Let it spend a whole heap of time inside in the crate. It'll get used to being in the crate inside. And then as it gets used to being inside, as you continue with all your other training, as you get your stop command sorted, and that gets more solid. The other thing you can do here, and this is what I'll be doing in the Paumiko Dog Guide, pretty much going to give it away for free here, is what I will be doing is I've had Miko's crate sitting in the same spot the whole time, and I've got her mat sitting in the crate, and she's used to sitting on that mat in the crate. All I'll be doing is taking the crate away and putting the mat where the crate was, and she's already got a stop command. And this is why I've waited until now to do it instead of working on it beforehand, because I'm only just getting to the point with Miko now where I've actually got a stop command that I can say stop, and she'll stay stopped while I walk a good distance away. And I was waiting till I get to that point where she's got a proper stop command where she'll stay stopped while I walk away. And then also do it with a little bit of distraction, because inside there's always distraction. The TV's going, I'll be walking backwards and forwards, someone else might be walking around. I'm getting Miko, or I've gotten her to the point now where I know she can do that without failing flat stick the whole time. And now I'm going to do that. And a really easy way of doing that is and for you, Kevin, would be getting a crate, put your dog in the crate where you want that bed to be, keep working on your stop drill at the same time, get it more solid. Part 4 is about to come out, and you'll see sort of what we're doing there, and part 5 is going to be right behind it, where we're really introducing more distraction and moving well away from Miko. And we'll show you a few other sort of fail-proof tips as well there. Sort of within 2 to 4 weeks from today, I'll have a mat inside that Miko will be inside walking around, just chilling, having fun. And I'll say, okay, I'm sick of you walking around doing what you want in here. And I'll say, on your mat, and she'll just zip straight over there and lay down and stay there. I'm not saying it's going to be rock solid, 100% perfect right off the bat, but it'll be pretty blimmin' good. And over the next sort of few months, that sort of thing will get really solid, like to the point, Fly's now 4 years old. She's got her mat in the corner there. She's not even interested in walking around inside. I open the door and call her in, and she's just straight on her mat. She's like, I can't be stuffed with all you guys. I actually had to call her off her mat to come into the lounge to have a pat. She's just that sort of dog. Prince the opposite. Prince like always wanting to wander around. Miko's that sort of dog too. But that's what I do, Kevin. I definitely get a crate. Start putting your dog in the crate. Get it used to just chilling out, sitting down inside. Get your stop drill solid, and then you'll have it. And it's all going to be in the Paumiko Dog Guide too. Rachel Eliza, we realised we need to work on controlling excitement this weekend. Okay, ordered a crate for training today because our 8-month-old Y-head pointer is so much bigger than my sister's small skipper key. I don't know what that is. I'm guessing it's a type of dog. Pretty stressful with weekend, so looking forward to our boy learning crate skills. Yeah, Kate. Yep, and that's a classic example. So, yeah, we realise. Pretty stressful weekend with family. Yeah, okay. So that Rachel, sounds like you're talking about the exactly what I just spent a massive monologue on, about talking about how pretty much all my training systems are set up through basically raising and training a dog to the point where anything you're going to have to do with it in life, you're like, oh sweet, I can just put her in the crate, or oh, she can just sleep in the car, or oh, you got a kennel outside, I can put her in the kennel, or oh, actually it can just sleep on the bed and it's fine too, or just whatever you want to do. And that's a classic case of it. You thought you're all right, and then you have a weekend with family and add another dog in the mix and a different person or a different house or something, and it's, as you said, pretty stressful weekend. And it can be, and you can be, oh no, I've got serious issues here. And that's why crate training is so important, and crates are so handy. Once you get a dog used to being in a crate, that's why you've seen it. If you watch the Paumiko dog guide with Miko, I had her in that crate from the first thing I did with her, and this is exactly why. I had the crate set up on the back seat of the truck when I went to pick her up, and I literally picked her up off the ground at the breeders, gave her a cuddle and a pat, opened the truck door, and she went in the crate in the back of the truck. That's like the very first thing. And that's just the very first thing I'm interested in doing with a dog, is getting it happy and relaxed in a crate or kennel, because if you can put a dog in a crate, it's like the stop drill. It's every problem can be solved by, oh no, this is turning to custard, put it in a kennel or put it in a crate. The dog has never learned a bad habit or got run over or got in trouble, or dogs don't get in trouble in a crate or in a kennel. So yeah, it's just huge, and it's all there in the Paumiko dog guide. Kevin's saying, sweet, I'll do just that. Rachel's saying, Belgian barge dog. Is that what a skipperke is? It's spelled Skipperke. Is that what that is? I'm Googling this. I've got another computer over here. Skipperke. Oh, it's actually SCH. Oh, yep. That's a cool looking dog. Black, fluffy, sort of prick-eared little guys. Real shiny, fluffy looking thing. Look quite cool. Well, you just taught me something about dogs there, Rachel. As big as a cat, true, so they're really little. Okay. That would be hard case. Quite a cool looking little dog. So it's a skipperke, or it's SCHIPPERKE. A skipperke is, I'm probably saying that so wrong. A skipperke is a Belgian breed of dog that originated in the early 16th century. There has been a long informal debate over whether this type of dog is a Spitz or a miniature sheepdog. In their home country of Belgium, they are considered a small shepherd. Hard case. They just look like a really bright, like they've got like a collie looking face. Like they just look, this might sound funny, but they look like they'd be smart, like a really intelligent, sharp little dog. Really sharp. And that's why, what did that say? Yeah, and it says it's debated whether it's like a miniature Spitz. I don't know what a Spitz is. I'll probably click on that next. Or a miniature sheepdog. And my gut feeling, it's got like, you know what, a heading dog or a collie, those smart working dogs, just that spark in their eye. They're just real smart and ready to do something. That's what these little guys look like to me. I really like them. The small pointed ears are erect at the top. Skippers are double coated with a soft fluffy undercoat. Like heading dogs like Print and Fly have that, and it's really blooming good. Because the sort of dogs with double coats, they tend to do quite well in the cold, but then they don't overheat either, because they lose a lot of that downy undercoat in the summer. So they still go pretty good in the summer, whereas your big long coated dogs are hotter in the summer, but then in the winter, that downy undercoat comes right in heavy. Just works really well. I'm just reading up. They usually weigh 3 to 9 kilograms. They're tiny, especially on the smaller end of the scales. They're born with tails in different lengths. In Canada and the US, the tails are usually docked, it says. Known for a stubborn, mischievous, and headstrong temperament. It also chases small animals. Anyway, sorry about that. I was just getting... Oh, yeah. Do we have any... No, we just got comments on that. Yeah, as big as a cat. Very cool, but now our boy is so much bigger. Yeah, okay. What was your dog, Rachel? Like a... Did you say a wire-haired pointer? Yeah, wire-haired, 8-month-old wire-haired pointer. Yep. It's a lot of dog. Wire-haired pointer, you know. A lot of them do get big. They've got a lot of drive, a lot of energy. They don't necessarily mature quickly. Awesome dogs. But yeah, just as long as you train them right, handle them right. What I say about wire-hair pointers, what I say about any dog's good if you train it right. Some of them just make you pay more for your mistakes, and wire-hair pointers are definitely a breed of dog that can make you pay for your mistakes. In some cases, big time. But you'll be sweet. I'm just into these skipper. I've lost it now. I don't know how to say it. Skipperky, something like that. The one caveat to Skipperky's good health, I know I'm saying that wrong, and there's people out there that are just cringing, is MPS something I3B, a genetic mutation that occurs in at most 15% of the total breed population. It only occurs in Skipperkies. Am I saying that right, Rachel? Skipperky? The University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine has developed a test for the disease. Clinical signs appear between 2 and 4 years of age. Far out. And there are no known cures or treatments. The disease affects balance, negotiation of obstacles such as stairs, and is similar to such something storage diseases in humans. So it's far out. So up to 15% of them develop this crazy balance problem at 2 to 4 years old. That's pretty extreme. First recognised as a formal breed in 1880. Yeah, Kevin. Skipperkey. What was I saying? Skipperkey. Rachel's saying it's Skipperkey. That's what I was immediately thinking, Kevin. I was like just looking at it as this miniature fly, you know. But you wouldn't be too over the moon if it was just hitting its straps at 4 years old and got that balance issue. Anyway, is there any other questions and stuff, guys? Still happy to answer a couple more. It's been quite an interesting sort of digression on this Skipperkey thing, isn't it? What was it saying? It's says there's been an informal debate over whether this type of dog is a Spitz or a miniature sheepdog. What's a Spitz? Let's click on that. Okay, so a Spitz is also it's a type of dog, and it's just a small dog that looks a bit like a Skipperkey. Thick white fur, pointed ears, curl in the tail. The exact origins of it are not known. Most of the Spitz seen today originate from the Arctic region of Siberia. The type was described as Canis pomeranus by Johann something. My pronunciation, I'm just not even getting involved in this pronunciation. It's been such a mess. Anyway. Skeletal remains around 2,000 years old unearthed in Switzerland indicate that Spitz dogs have inhabited Central Europe for millennia. That's crazy. Over the centuries, many of these dogs were transported by humans to Japan. That's crazy. So they've found skeletal remains of a Spitz, which is kind of looks like a white Skipperkey with a slightly different coat, 2,000 years old in Switzerland. So them little guys are just like running around, just wild back in the day. Rachel's saying, I bet one to give it a go. I bet it would too. Yep, they're a real cool, sharp-looking dog, eh? A lot of those little toy dogs, you know, that you sort of associate with being, like real sort of hunter bloke type guys, like, hopeless little dog, or what's that horrible little thing. But when you actually get to know those little dogs, all dogs are just dogs, they've all got personalities, and some of those little dogs have massive personalities, super intelligent, real high drive, like you could train them to do all sorts of crazy stuff. And as far as hunting or something along those lines, they'd be all over it, eh? I've met some really cool little lap dogs. It's often, if people look at them and go, oh, look, I don't like that dog because it's sitting on someone's lap, yapping or shaking or being all weird. It's 100% all to do with the way it's been raised and brought up and handled. And most times, most of those issues have come about through actually the best intentions, like some lovely lady that really loves the dog and has tried to look after it too well, and but doesn't quite understand it right and runs into all these issues. Anyway, guys, so I reckon we'll wrap it up here, Kevin, can't think of any more questions, but wanted to comment that I received your book last week, bowled half of it in one night. Bloody good read. Oh, sweet. Cheers, mate. Yeah, actually, I probably sent it out then, and your name's actually familiar, so I've probably seen you here, and I think I actually remember you coming through your emails. Your name's familiar to me in an email from buying the book and the dog guide and stuff like that. So yeah, huge thanks to you and everyone like you that sort of signed up and follows these things. Yeah, we put a lot of work into it and time into it, sort of all for you guys, and we can't do any of it if no one signs up and buys the stuff. So yeah, thanks, Kevin. Sort of signing up and even turning up to Q&As and bouncing ideas around, and then it gives me something to talk about, and then more people listen to that, and then they go, oh, I might check out this dog guide thing, and then there's more people asking questions, and then there's more information and more people, so it just sort of a bit of an upward spiral, and it all just starts with a few good followers. So we'll wrap this up. Thanks for everyone that turned up. We've got 4. I was worried about no one had turned up and I have nothing to talk about. We've done an hour 40 and we've had 49 comments. We've had a rant about spitzes and skipperkeys, and hopefully answered a few questions there. So yeah, if you're listening to this on the Paul Michaels Revolution podcast and you want to check out the Paumiko Dog Guide, check out Paumiko Dog Training on Facebook and Instagram. If you want to check out the Deer Dog Training Blueprint, check out Big Game Indicating Dogs on Facebook and Instagram. If you're sort of a .com type of guy or gal and you want to check out the Paumiko Dog Guide, check out the PaumikoDogGuide.com. If you want to check out Big Game Indicating Dogs and the Deer Dog Training Blueprint.com style, go to biggameindicatingdogs.com and it's all there. If you're watching this video on Facebook and YouTube, it could be in one of lots of places. But if you're watching it and you're thinking, man, I'd rather just listen to this, the Paul Michaels Revolution podcast. There's also all sorts of other weird stuff that you're probably not interested or maybe interested in listening to over there. Cheers, guys. I'll see you later. We'll see you next time. Signing off. Thanks, everybody.